Hello everybody. This is the Fees, Student Finance and Bursaries presentation from Norland College, and we'll be starting in about 60 seconds or so. So just enough time to grab a quick coffee. See you soon. Okay, well, it's lovely to see everybody, although I can't really see you. I've got a feeling that you are out there, so that's good to hear. So this is the Fees, Student Finance and Bursaries presentation from Norland College. So before we start, just so you know, this session will be recorded. It'll be, I think it'll be on our website at the end of the day, along with the other sessions that we've had going on this week. And the other ones that we've got tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, they will also be there on our website. So if there's something you missed, you can always sort of catch back up. Your camera will be off and your microphone is also muted. At the end of the session, there'll be a question and answer session. And if you would like to ask some questions, which I really hope you will, there is a button at the bottom of your screen. And if you go to that button, you can put your questions in there. And I know my colleague Dan will be sort of having a look at those questions and we'll come over to those questions at the end. So something to look forward to there. Right, so let's kick off. So like, as I say, this is the Fees, Student Finance and Bursaries presentation. A quick introduction. We have here, you have myself. My name is Alex Reed. I'm the sort of chap on the top left on your picture, something for the dartboard there. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and the Head of Finance. We also have Sarah. Sarah, can you say hello?
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah and I'm the Finance Officer at Norland.
Lovely, thanks for that, Sarah. And we're also really fortunate that we have three of our wonderful student representatives here. We have Freya, Emily and Aurora. Can you say hello, guys?
Hello.
Brilliant. We're going to definitely hear from Freya, Emily and Aurora later because they really will tell you how they got on in terms of sort of funding their course and whatnot. Anyway, let's press straight on into our sort of relatively short presentation just to talk about the fees and finances for your Norland journey. So for 21-22, so that's for next year, that's a September 21 entry. As you can see on the screen, our tuition fees will be £14,990. Now that covers everything. That covers obviously all your tuition. It covers your organised trips, your cooking materials, your files, everything really except your sewing materials. There is also a lifelong learning fee, which is £286. And that does what it says on the tin. It's your support from day one, or it funds your support from day one until you don't need us anymore. But we will always be here for you. Once you join Norland, we are always looking after you. We are always here for you. So whether you are 25 or 35 or 85 looking after your own charges, your own children, your own grandchildren, your own great-great-grandchildren, you know that you can pick up the phone and you can always speak to somebody to give you some support. So that's what that lifelong learning fee goes towards. So if you think about it, those two things together, the 14,990 and the 286 comes to just over £15,000. Now that's before any kind of tuition fee loan or any other kind of bursaries, etc. That's the sort of gross fees, if you like, 15,276. So those tuition fees are invoiced in equal amounts termly, and they are due on the first day of term unless you're paying by our direct debit scheme and paying to an agreed instalment plan. And I know my colleague Sarah will sort of talk to you a little bit more about that instalment plan in a couple of minutes or so. So that's your fees for sort of next year if you come in a September 21 entry. Remember, it's a 3-year course where you sort of pay fees. So fees for the year 2 and year 3 are subject to annual review, and they may go up by a little bit each year. And I think we say they may go up by up to 5%, but historically they go up by generally by about sort of 2% or so. But I know over the last 2 years, they've been frozen at that 14,990. Remember, you have a 4th year, your newly qualified nanny year. So that's when in fact, we get you a job and you get paid. I think those salaries are generally between about £22,000 and £25,000. So you'll be earning in your 4th year. And during that 4th year, we will be supporting you, trying to, well, in fact, getting you to that qualified Norlander status. So in that 4th year, like I say, you'll be earning. So additional costs, obviously there is the uniform and it professionalizes what we do. It's been around for over 100 years with obviously periodical sort of updates. It's iconic, it shows, you know, Norland at its best. And I know when we surveyed students, our students particularly want to keep the uniform and they like the uniform. We say that the uniform costs about £1,000 over the 3 years. So if you kind of think between about £300 or £400 on average or so a year. But clearly it depends on how many hats and coats and jackets and ties and trousers and blouses, etc. that you have, depends on that cost. But it's probably cheaper than having to sort of buy your own sort of clothes to wear to college. At least when you get up in the morning, you don't have to think about what you're wearing because everybody is wearing the same thing, which is a good thing. In terms of accommodation, remember Norland doesn't have its own halls of residences, but what we do is we work with our preferred landlords. So we have a team within the college who will find good accommodation. We will work with those landlords and those houses, and we'll make sure they're in the right part of town. They're on a bus route and they've got the right number of loos and the right number of sitting rooms, and they're of a reasonably good standard and also at the right price. And the accommodation at the moment for Bath for those houses is about £500 to £550 per calendar month for a year plus bills. If you don't want us to arrange that accommodation for you, that's absolutely fine. You're very welcome to arrange your own accommodation, but to be fair, most of our students do take us up on that offer. I think mainly the fact is that you'll be with other first year Norland students, so you won't be with some stranger from another university, which I think is probably quite important. In the 4th year, do you remember we mentioned just earlier that newly qualified nanny year when you're actually earning between £22,000 and £25,000 or so? We have a new Professional Association of Norlanders, PAN, and the membership fee of that is £100, and that is payable in your newly qualified nanny year. That's your 4th year. So some quite big scary numbers there, but obviously, you know, let's talk about assistance to help you get to that 15,276. And one of the main ways is student financing with tuition fee loans. And I think Sarah is just going to take you through those for you. Sarah?
Yep, thank you, Alex. So I'm going to be taking a look at the student finance and how this works with your fees. So the student loan comes in 2 parts. The first part is the tuition fee loan, and that comes direct to the college. The second part is your maintenance loan, which will go directly to the student. So let's take a look at the tuition fee loan first. The maximum loan available is £6,165. You will notice this is less than public universities, as Norland is an independent higher education provider. I would also point out that the tuition fee loan is lower in Northern Ireland. For academic year 2021, it is £4,395, but please check the student loan website for details. The first table on the slide shows how the tuition fee loan is taken against the fees each term. The first column shows the termly fee amounts. The second column is the tuition fee loan from student finance. Here you will see that the loan is not split evenly over the 3 terms. The split is 25% in terms 1 and 2 and 50% in term 3. This is how we receive the funds from student finance. The third column shows the remaining balance to pay each term. The maintenance loans are means tested, and these will vary in amounts for each student. These loans do go directly to the student. You may also be eligible for additional funding if you have a disability, long-term health condition, mental health condition, or a specific learning difficulty. For all information on student finance, please visit gov.uk student finance for details. You can usually start applying for your loans by the end of February. We will contact you to let you know once you can start applying. We understand that the remaining balance of approximately £9,000 is still a lot of money to find. So we do offer an instalment option via direct debit. The second table on the slide shows the direct debit amounts which will be due each month. So for term 1, the remaining balance of £3,743 is split over 3 months in that term. For further information about financial assistance, including loans that are available through our partner Future Finance, can be found on our website at www.norland.ac.uk/finance and bursaries. Now back to Alex for information about our Emily Ward bursaries.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Sarah. That's brilliant. As Sarah has sort of said there, I think in the middle of the slide, it says visit gov.uk/student finance. I was going to say children then. I have daughters who are 16 and 17. They're kind of young adults. And I've certainly been on to gov.uk/student finance and just put some made up numbers in there in terms of income and whatnot, just to see what you may be entitled to in terms of maintenance loans and tuition fee loans. It's good to be informed. Anyway, as Sarah said, there are some bursaries, and we have our Emily Ward bursaries. Now, these bursaries are funded by the commercial operations of the college. We have an agency, and we also have a consultancy section of the college. And any sort of surpluses that those make are used to fund our Emily Ward bursaries. As you can see, our Emily Ward bursaries is named after the college founder, and they provide students with an opportunity to get a grant towards that £9,111 that Sarah was mentioning just previously. Now, the majority of bursaries are between £1,000 to £2,000 towards that £9,111. There is the occasional half bursary worth about £4,500, and the occasional full bursary, which takes you right up to the full £9,111. All bursaries are means tested, and additional consideration is given to students that are Black and minority ethnicity, are care leavers, are male, or are mature. And for us, the mature is aged 21 years or older at the time of course commencement. No need to ask for bursary application forms, as they are sent to everybody who receives the offer of a place, and that's whether it's a conditional or an unconditional place. If you are successful and you are awarded one of our Emily Ward bursaries, the bursary is awarded for the entire duration of the 3-year on-site course. Obviously subject to successful completion of each year. But once it's awarded, it goes for the whole 3 years. And at the bottom of the screen in the sort of light blue, we just say that the Emily Ward bursary application deadline is the 2nd of April, 2021. That seems like a long way away, but it will come very quickly. So those application forms need to be in by the 2nd of April, 2021. So as I say, if you are offered a conditional or a conditional place, you'll be sent all of the details in terms of what you need to do in order to apply for one of those bursaries. And in terms of those bursaries, I think Sarah's just going to give us a quick update on sort of bursaries that were awarded in 1920. Sarah.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, so taking a look at some figures for our academic year of 2019 to 2020. So 1 in 5 students were awarded a bursary from Norland to support the costs of their study. Then £2,864 was the average value of a student bursary awarded by Norland in 2019-2020.
That's lovely. Thank you, Sarah. So some of those bursaries, they are very valuable. But I would also say that as well as the student fee tuition loan we just mentioned, or that Sarah mentioned, the 6165. There's Emily Ward bursaries that we've just gone through now, and there's possible future finance funding options. So have a look on our website for those. I would also say that some students apply and fingers crossed hopefully get a place and then they choose to take a year off, a gap year, and they work from that, say, June or July, right way round until that following September. So they will choose to sort of miss a year and spend that 14 months or so earning money to help fund their journey through Norland. And that's quite a common thing, certainly within our student base. Other students have also sought funding from organisations that they may have volunteered with in the past, or maybe who have worked for. And I know I can name at least 2 or 3 students who have gained additional funding from those organisations. So it will be interesting, I'm sure, for all of us to know, where does all the money go? What do we do with it? And it's very important that Norland actually clearly shows and states what happens to that very valuable tuition fee income that we get. And we show that within our value for money statement. And this is something that all universities have to do. They have to show where the money goes. And our value for money statement shows the many ways in which Norland delivers that 100% employment opportunities. Remember, once you qualify as a Norlander, you are set for life. You will never not have a job. So you will be able to work very well for the rest of your lives. It also explains about the value-added curriculum and the lifelong support that we give to you as graduates. So if you would like to see that value for money statement, it is on our website. I think the 18-19 version is on there. And I think once our 19-20 figures are finalized, it could be updated to show the very latest position. So I think I'm now going to dip over to Freya and Emily and Aurora, probably Freya to start with, just talk about how Freya has funded her study. So Freya.
Hi, I'm Freya. I'm from Set 42, which now means that I'm a third year student, which is absolutely crazy. But I just wanted to talk to you about how I fund my studies because I've done it in lots of different ways. So first of all, I use the student finance loan. So I use both the maintenance loan and the tuition loan that Alex and Sarah have talked about. And they, the majority of students will use them, and it really does help with funding my studies, and that is the main way that I fund my studies. I then top this up, so top up my tuition fees, top up my rent payments and things like that with part-time and holiday work, and this allows me to fund my lifestyle and all the different things that go along with it. And I have also relied on savings at my time at Norland. Like Alex said, a lot of students will work a lot before coming to Norland. I personally worked loads and loads and loads through my time doing my level 3 college course and the summers before Norland, just to save up some money. So yeah, the jobs that I've had during Norland. So I worked as a weekend nanny for a local family in Bath. I absolutely love them. I still talk to them now. And I've also been holiday nannying with them. I was supposed to go to Ibiza with them this summer, but obviously 2020 is not really holiday nannying friendly. I've also been a holiday nanny cover in Thailand. So the New Year's Eve celebration's just gone. So coming into 2020, I was over in Thailand with a family with 4 children and some of their extended family. And I spent 2 weeks out in there, and that was a really lovely way to travel, get experience, as well as make some money. And that really helped in my lead up to what inevitably was all sort of funny summer. I've also been a children's entertainment host on board a cruise ship. Obviously 2020 isn't really cruise ship friendly, but this was in 2019. I spent 9 weeks on board a cruise ship, and I was a children's entertainment host, so I was organising activities. I worked in the kids club. I worked with so many different children from all across the UK, and it was absolutely amazing. Again, a lovely way to get experience, a lovely way to travel, and a lovely way to make some money and some friends as well, which was really, really nice. I've also done a little bit of event nannying for parties and weddings and festivals. Again, this year I had some festivals lined up, so I was planning on going to Glastonbury and working, but obviously, once again, 2020 isn't really festival friendly. But there are so many different jobs. That's just my repertoire of jobs that I've had or had the opportunity to apply for. This just shows a small minority. There's so many other jobs out there. And all of these jobs that I have got through Norland or my contacts at Norland. So that just shows that Norland really appreciate that students have to work, and they really appreciate that we do work as well. because not only are we able to fund our studies, but we're also developing our practical skills and using the things that we're learning in college, really benefiting us and our professional development through Norland. The biggest concerns I get at open days or virtual open days or messages that come through are students can be concerned about working while studying at Norland. It is quite intense, and obviously, as you may have seen from other presentations, we're not just doing a degree, we're doing a diploma as well. There is a lot of work, and because there is a significant amount of work, you do need to dedicate a significant amount of time to do that work and to do it well. But also, it is manageable. If you manage your time properly, if you schedule in different points of work or points of university work, so doing actual assignments and actually physically working, you can manage it in. You've just got to be really gentle with yourself. I personally, in my first term of first year, I didn't work that first term. I relied on my savings just to make sure that I could get into the flow of Norland, find out what was manageable for me, and then get a job after that that fit into those time slots. I've also had to have difficult conversations with my bosses saying that I've got an assignment due in this week. Please, can I have this week off and I can do some different hours here? But again, that has taught me a lot about time management, and that has helped me so much as a nanny, so much. But yeah, if there's any questions that anybody has, please message me or add the questions to the chat or message me on Instagram at Freya's Nanny Adventure.
Thanks a lot, Freya. Emily, have you anything to add to that? You've worked quite a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've worked since first year. I've not had my jobs through Norland. I actually worked as a retail assistant part-time and weekend job in first year. So it was quite different because I did have a contracted hours, and obviously you have to then stick to them. So what I would say is, if you're going to work part-time, do just be kind with yourself. Don't commit to a 16-hour weekend contract. How I did it was I had an 8-hour weekend contract, and most weekends I did overtime to work up to 16 hours. And then that way, weekends I had assignments, I could stick to the 4 hours. But yeah, my big thing is, if you're going for jobs outside of Norland where you do have contracted hours, don't commit to a 16-hour contract, because then you will run yourself.
And without being too kind of personal, you relied on that income to help fund your course.
I relied on it an awful lot. So I worked while I'm a Scottish student, so I done my HNC, which is like the same as my level 3, and I worked part-time while doing that for a local charity and studying. And then I actually went to work in an underprivileged summer camp in New York before I came to Norland, which is still a very special place in my heart. And then when I got to Norland, I think I started within October, so I gave myself a little bit of time, but then I started as a retail assistant. And how I fund my studies is, I'm a bursary student and my family pay for the remainder of my fees, and then I cover all my rent and food and everything else that studying life costs during my work. So I do have to rely on work an awful lot more, but it is possible. You do just have to be, as Freya said, kind to yourself. And
so it sounds tough but doable.
Yeah, it's hard work, but it's definitely doable.
Aurora, do you want to add anything in here?
Yeah, so same as Emily, I'm also a bursary student, and I've been lucky enough, so I have the Emily Board bursary, and I also have a bursary local to me from where I studied in secondary school and A-levels. So yeah, if you're worried about bursaries or whatever, definitely apply to Emily Ward, but also have a look around to what's local to you, because I had no idea that I had one near me, and then I managed to bag it. So definitely have a look around.
Brilliant. Well done, you, Aurora. Brilliant. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. So there's another slide here about most students earning while they're in learning. Is Aurora or Freya or Emily going to go through this one?
Yeah, so now that you've heard how Freya and Emily fund their studies, thank you so much, guys. That was really interesting. I'll be talking to you about how most Norland students earn whilst they're learning here, and about some of my own experiences. So as you can see, these are the highlights from our 2019 survey of second and third year students. 92% undertook part-time babysitting or childcare work during the term. I did this a lot in my first year studies. I'd say I worked around 15 to 20 hours a week. Evening babysitting is the best for this, because you can keep one eye on the baby monitor, and then you can also do your university work whilst you're there. And that is how I managed to balance it really well. 90% took a holiday nanny job, mostly during the summer, but also during the Easter and Christmas breaks. I'd also say there's a lot of work for half terms. During the big holidays, I tend to work abroad, but during half terms, I stay in Bath and work for families here. So it's actually half term now, and I've stayed in my uni house and I'm working with a family. So most of the holiday jobs are UK based, with the top locations being London, Bath and Cornwall, and Bristol, which is joint third. If working abroad is something that really scares you, or just something that doesn't interest you at all, please don't worry. There's so many jobs in the UK. You don't have to go all the way to Thailand, even though that sounds amazing. You can find one just next door. So yeah, more than half also worked overseas during the holidays. Top locations are Spain, France and Italy. I can vouch for this. Freya's talked to you about some of the amazing work she's done, and Emily's been to New York, which is amazing. I've also nannied abroad since my time at Norland. I've nannied in France twice. While the hourly rates for holiday jobs vary, the average hourly rate is £9.71, which is well above the national minimum wage of £6.15. You'll get a range on this. It's usually between £7 to £12 an hour, and it completely depends on experience and what your role is. So yeah, thank you. And if you have any other questions, I'll be able to answer them later.
Oh, brilliant. Look, thank you, Aurora. That was wonderful. That was really great. I mean, I think that final bullet point there, where it talks about the average hourly rate of £9.71 versus the national minimum wages, you can clearly see how sort of the value that a Norland education, even if you're not fully qualified, is already giving you, so that when you do go to work, you can earn, you are already, even as a student, earning well above those national minimum wages. So that is good stuff. So is a Norland education a considerable investment? Yeah, it is. I have to say that. Is it tough? There are points which are tough. It's enjoyable, but it's a tough choice to make. But we teach you very well, and at the end of those 3 years, so you've got the first 3 years where you're paying your fees, and in your 4th year, you're in that newly qualified year. And you are earning, which is some great stuff. But after that 4th year, so you finished your newly qualified nanny year, and you become what we call a Norlander. So you've done the whole 4 years. That's when you can join our Norland agency. And our Norland agency is part of Norland College, and we currently have about 5 to 6 jobs per Norlander looking. So the demand for our students is phenomenal. There are many, many more people looking for Norlanders than there are Norlanders out there. So clearly that only does one thing to salaries. They certainly don't go down. They generally go upwards, which is great to see. And in terms of finding that job, like I say, when you are a Norlander, when you are fully qualified, you can use our Norland agency. And if you have a look at those salaries, so that top line with the London Daily, so a London Daily nanny, so your first year out of Norland, so you've just done your newly qualified nanny year, you've got your badge, you are a Norlander, the first job we can get for you starts at around about £39,000. And that's quite phenomenal as your first job as a qualified nanny, or as a qualified graduate sort of placement. At 39,000 is quite phenomenal. And then with 2 years experience, as we move over to the right hand side, the top line goes up to 44,000, with 3 to 4 years, maybe 49,000. And with over 5 years experience, you can expect to be earning over £66,000. And you almost think, are these just numbers that we've plucked out and made up? Well, they're not. We run our own agency. We can point at these jobs. This is what our clients are paying for Norland nannies. So they compare fantastically well with your lawyers, with your doctors, with your accountants, with your bankers. So even if you sort of drop down on this table down to say, second up from the bottom, the regional residential nanny, your first job out of Norland can be earning from 27,000 as a first year, and then with over 5 years experience, even regional areas of the UK, you can be earning up to 42,000. And that very bottom line, those overseas jobs can be incredible. With over 5 years experience, you can be earning over £80,000 or so a year. Quite incredible. And like I say, that those are real. You know, I see these come across my desk every week or so. So these are phenomenal opportunities for our nannies. So it's as if to sort of say it's a considerable investment, and all in education is, but the returns, the returns are good. So perhaps when your friends, they may well graduate, everyone will owe a lot of money, but at least, once you've come through the Norland, your Norland journey, you can earn very, very well. You will not be looking around for a job. It would be us saying, come and work. We have plenty of people that want you. So that's really is sort of the main sort of financy presentation really so far. I've got some quick plugs for other events happening this week. As you can see, there's been events going on all week, live Q&A events. On Monday and Tuesday, we have a degree in diploma integration and a student support session and then today there's already been admissions and accommodation presentation. Those will be on our website by the end of today. And then remember, tomorrow there's a careers and employability Q&A where you can look at that newly qualified nanny year, our agency, what happens in employment week, all the fun stuff, and get a better idea about salaries, and also for the families that you might be working for, and also how we prepare you for work, for the world of work. And then on the Friday, that's the 30th, there's a live Q&A with our students, and our students will tell you the truth. They are our very, very best ambassadors, as you've already seen with Aurora, Emily. So please do try and sort of go along to that session just to sort of speak to our students and hear from them directly. So this is sort of the final part of the presentation, really. What we want ideally is for any questions that have come through, and shortly I'll ask Dan if we have any questions, and I really hope we have. But just to sort of as a quick reminder to say that your camera is off and your microphone is muted. And remember that there's a little question and answer button at the bottom of your screen. And just a reminder, if your question isn't asked, or you're not quite sure about the answer, etc., please do email us at finance@norland.ac.uk or come through to the main switchboard and ask for finance. The whole finance team are here to support you getting into Norland. So please don't be a stranger. Please make contact, because we really, really want to see you here. So I'm going to ask Dan. Dan, have there been any questions?
There have been questions. Thank you very much, Alex and Sarah and Freya, Emily and Aurora. Honestly, really interesting to see the array of ways that you all fund your studies. So I'll start with you, Alex, if I may. If we are finding it hard to pay for fees and we start by paying the £3,743 in the first term, could we then change to do it in the instalment plan in the second and third term?
Yes, you can. Yes. I mean, we're effectively a small business. And if you sort of want to change from one to the other, you can do that. We are here to support you. We are a small business, and we rely on, as long as we have a conversation and we can agree it, which we will agree it, we can flip between the two if you need to. And we clearly need a little bit of notice just to sort of sort the direct debit system out and the installment system out, but that is certainly doable. Yes.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alex. Sarah, how can I see if I am eligible for a bursary?
Alex might be a bit better to answer that one.
That's all right. Dan, was that eligible or illegible?
Eligible.
Eligible. So if you look on our website, there is our bursary policy is on there, and that can give you a little bit more information about our bursary and how it works. I mean, we've just sort of scooted over it quite sort of briefly here, but in terms of eligibility, if you're offered a place, whether it's a conditional or an unconditional place, you'll be technically eligible. And so what we would ask you to do is to fill in the bursary forms, which will kind of say, why do you want a bursary, and what's your background and income and whatnot. So we'll ask some questions and ask for some sort of evidence to support that that information. And there's also the opportunity on those forms to actually, tell us about your life, your background, why you want to come to Norland, why a bursary is so important to you, why you want to become a Norlander. So effectively, if you're offered a conditional or an unconditional placement, you're all technically eligible. It's just a question of filling in those bursary forms and returning them to us. And then what we'll have is there's a bursary committee that will look at all of those bursary applications. And we will then effectively look at the budget that we have and the number of applications and make a decision regarding those bursary applications. Dan.
Brilliant, thanks, Alex. Freya, how much do sewing materials cost usually?
So students can spend a varying amount of money on fabrics and sewing materials and things like that. I know a lot of students that actually like to recycle some of the fabrics. So they may find an old bed sheet and then they make that into their sewing project. There are some things that we do need. So like zips and buttons and poppers and things like that you do specifically need to buy. But again, you can get them quite cheap. I'd recommend reusing as much old fabric as you can, because I personally have a lot of just leftover scraps of things that I have never used but could be amazing sewing projects. It does vary, but there are shops in Bath. So the sewing studio in Bath is absolutely amazing. They house everything that we need, and we can actually get a Norland discount there as well, which is amazing. And that has been worked through with our lovely sewing lecturer, Kate Yeager. And they are able to give us a discount, which is really, really helpful, especially when you do need to buy the things that you absolutely need, like your zip, or like a popper or a certain fastening or something. But you can do it on a budget. It's not, you don't need to spend copious amounts on it if you don't want to.
I would just sort of say before you come in, Dan, I know on our main website, we talk about the cost of a sewing kit. And I think we actually, we say that students have to provide their own sewing kit, which costs approximately £80 or so. And then we estimate that the cost of material over the 3 years is about £80 over the 3 years. But as Freya says, why buy more? There's plenty of sort of vintage and shops that or reuse bed sheets and reuse clothing that you don't want to wear anymore. So I would imagine that's probably on the high side. An £80 setup fee and £80 over the 3 years. I imagine you could get away with a lot less than that, I would hope. Dan.
Brilliant, thank you both. On the subject of discount, Aurora, I was just wondering if you could talk about how Norland students go around getting student discount.
Student discount. So I would bring your Norland ID card everywhere you go, just because even for basic things like the bus, sometimes they might call you up and be like, can I see if you're a student? And you're definitely going to need that. As well, you can log into uni days, which is amazing. I definitely recommend uni days. I haven't used anything like the totem card or anything because I think you need to pay for that, but both of those are free options which will get you discounts, and it's always best to ask everywhere, do you do a student discount? Because most of the time they do, but they just don't advertise it.
I think that's really good. I would also say that, Bath is a small city and there are lots and lots of students. So it is built for students and students are very well catered for. So I know from my own daughter, uni days is a big one for her. But as Aurora says, if you just ask for the discount and show your card, a lot of, Bath is built for students, and I think you generally do quite well out of that. Dan.
Great, thanks, Alex. Just with you, Alex, do you have to pay to use the Norland agency?
That's a really good question, Dan. The answer is no, you don't. Once you become a Norlander, and so you've done your 3 years tuition, you've got your 4th year newly qualified nanny year, where you are paid to be a newly qualified nanny. After that 4th year, you then join our agency, and there's no charge to join the agency, and then you register with the agency and you sort of say what kind of job that you want and where you live and what you're looking for. And then the agency will go and find you your job, and they'll say, look, here's a job, do you like it? Would you like to do it? and there'll be interviews and all the rest of it. And then your employer or the client will actually pay Norland for placing you in that job. So there's no charge to the Norlander if you want to use our agency. And I would remind you that our agency only works with Norlanders. So we don't work with anyone who isn't a Norlander, only Norlanders. So you know that the quality of nanny that are being placed through the agency is as good as it could possibly get. Dan. Great,
thanks, Alex. And just on the subject of the agency, just got a question here about the table for the salaries that you showed. Does regional mean regional to Bath or regional to where you are based?
That's a good question. It's generally it's effectively not London and not the home counties and the southeast. We've sort of lumped everywhere else together. So it's effectively not London and not the southeast.
Great, thank you very much. Emily, what would we need to pay for regarding food and nutrition classes?
Just your apron, all the food and everything is fully provided for you. So it's also a free meal at the end of the day. I know I'm not alone when I say that I quite like having my dinner after FRN. But yeah, no, everything, just your apron, which I think I got to at the beginning of my first year, and I've not had to buy another one, and I'm now in my third, so hardly anything at all.
Perfect, thanks Emily. And on the subject of food, I'll go around Freya, Aurora and then Emily. Obviously you guys live in houses with other students. Do you cook for yourselves? Do you share? Or do you, like Emily said, use your food and nutrition meals? Start with you, Freya.
So my house do a bit of a combination. So we all love our food and nutrition meals. It's great. You normally make quite a good portion. Make sure you take your Tupperware and then you can bring it all home. So we'll have that. Sometimes we'll properly treat ourselves and go out. But sometimes we'll just cook separately. But I like to do what we call family dinners. So I'll just make like a big meal. So do a big spag bowl, lasagna or something, and we'll all eat together, and it's so nice. But we do a bit of a combination just because we all have different tastes, but again, it is nice to share that cost a little bit as well.
Great, thanks, Freya. Anything from you, Aurora?
Yep, same. I cook for myself. I've got dietary requirements, so don't expect anyone else to cook for me. But the only meal we have all together, I'd say, is Sunday roast, which is obviously lovely because I think, if anything, that is something that everyone misses from home. Another thing is a lot of students live in the Oldfield area in Bath, and if you go to the greengrocers on Norland Road, they do a student discount, which is good for food shopping, as opposed to Sainsbury's where you have to pay full price.
Perfect, thank you very much, Aurora. And Emily?
I again do a bit of a mix. One of my housemates are veggie, so we all sort of eat our own thing, but we all love a family dinner night. I've been living with the same two girls for the full 3 years. One thing we always do is pancake Fridays that we've done since first year. So on a Friday morning, because we don't have lectures, so we'll all cook pancakes together. So I think a lot of us do fund our own food and having our own food bills, but it's also always really nice to sort of share the cost, and it's nice to have a meal with your housemates.
Brilliant, thanks guys. Sarah, are you able to clarify on what the lifelong learning fee is?
Yep, so the lifelong learning fee is a fee that we charge in the first term of your first year. You're not charged again, but it is basically you become part of the Norland family. So even after all your training, you could be in any job, anywhere. Maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck or you need some ideas, you can just give us a call. We'll always be here for you. And it's just to go against all of that.
I mean, when you think Norland has been around for 120 or 30 years or so, and we will be around for another 130 years or so. So at kind of £286, it's quite a, assuming that you live long enough, it's quite a good, it's not too much money for the support that you get. But as Sarah says, even now, we have ex-students who might have graduated, during the war or something, or a little time afterwards, and they still call us up to ask about, looking after their great-grandchildren. So, as I said before, the Norland family is here for you forever if you want us here. We are a family. We are small. We aren't like a great big university that's got thousands and thousands of students, and you're just another number. You are potentially one of only 100. We all know you. So, like I say, when we talk about our lifelong support, it really is lifelong. So, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Alex, staying for you for this next one about bursaries. Are you able to apply for the Emily Ward bursary if you are a foreign student?
Yes, if you are offered a conditional or an unconditional place, you may apply. Absolutely, yes. In fact, please do apply. There we are.
Brilliant, thank you very much. I'll go round the students again, starting with Emily. This one is just asking about how students got work in different countries alongside their tuition. How did that kind of come about?
Okay, so I started working at an underprivileged camp before I came to Norland, and then in my second year at Norland, I decided that I had to go back because I fell in love with it. So what I did was I worked to pay my rent and bills, and then I also put money aside to pay for my flights, and then I used the work that I got paid over the summer to then pay for my rent when I came back. So it was a lot of working out how I was going to save and then what I was going to earn back when I came, but I think everyone else is different. But yeah, just saving. If you want to go and work abroad and you don't have the money to do it from the get-go, it's saving and working out how much money you're going to get while you're away is what my advice would be.
Thanks, Emily. Aurora?
Yeah, so I got both of my jobs via Norland, not Norland directly, but students. You get a lot of contacts and a lot of people looking around. So I got both my jobs from there, and as Emily's talked to you about saving up, I didn't have to spend anything as everything was covered by the family, and that's usually how it works. So yeah, just got jobs through that.
And Freya?
So I've had a few different jobs and they've all sort of come through in different ways. So my cruise ship job, I got through a jobs fair at Norland. So obviously Norland want us to work, like I said before, and they set up a jobs fair with lots of different companies that came in. So I believe there was different holiday companies, and then there was the company that I got my cruise ship job through, and I had connections with them, and Norland students were actually given a separate email to contact to almost prioritize our applications, which was amazing. And I did it through there and eventually went off on a cruise ship. My Thailand job, I actually got that. So on my nanny Instagram, as I mentioned before, I have made a few friends with other Norlanders, and there was a ex-student who is now working in London, and she needed some time off, and she offered me the job, and we had met before a lot as well, so it was all very safe. And I accepted the job, had lots of different video calls, went up to London to meet the family, and then less than a week later I was off in Thailand. So that was a really strange way to get a job. But I've also, so the summer just gone, in a very COVID safe way, I went away with the family to France for 2 weeks, and I actually got that a similar way through Aurora, so through other students. So a lot of if a student is given a job or is offered a job or is given an ad, if they can't do it, they will pass it on to other students, and that's exactly what happened for me, which is absolutely amazing.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Alex, hello, just for clarity, what are the fees for second and third year students?
So, so if we're talking about students who start next year, so the fees will be £14,990. And then, as we said, that the fees for second year and then the third year, they effectively haven't been agreed yet, but they will go up by a little bit, and we say they'll go up by no more than 5%, but historically they've gone up at about 2% or so. So effectively there'll be 49.90, probably plus a little bit.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And just staying for you for this next one, what is the Professional Association of Norlanders that you mentioned?
That is something new. So that is being developed, and in your final year, in your newly qualified nanny year, when you are earning and we find you that job, it effectively will it will provide access to free refresher courses. It'll give you discounts on CPD and training courses. It'll give you discounted nanny insurance and union membership. So if you think about, say, an accountant or a lawyer, they pay fees to a sort of professional body so that you belong to that professional body. That's what we're developing for Norland. But like I say, that won't be for another 4 years or so. That £100 won't be for another 4 years. Dan.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Aurora, do you have to pay for textbooks?
I haven't bought any textbooks. I mean, I lie, I've bought one textbook and it's the best one. I'm just going to grab it. Early years for levels 4 and 5 in the foundation degree. I think everyone will agree this has everything in it. You won't need any other book. And all the other textbooks I've just gotten out of the library. And the librarians are amazing here. If you need anything, they will help you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Alex, what would you say is the minimum amount of savings to be able to start studying at Norland? I come from a low income family and it'd be really helpful to know your opinion.
Oh, I mean, I'd need more information. I don't think I could sort of answer that, because it depends whether you apply for a student loan, what size maintenance loan you might be able to get, whether you apply for a bursary, whether you apply for a future finance loan, whether you decide to take a year off, a gap year. So everyone is different. I couldn't possibly say. I mean, if you wanted to email us, and we can, get into a conversation, that'd be perfect. finance@norland.ac.uk. But I couldn't really possibly say what you might need as savings, because it's just everyone's circumstances are so different. Sorry, Dan.
Hey, that's right, thank you. And just then for you for this next one, can you get paid for the placements that you carry out when studying at Norland?
So when you are, a good chunk of your time whilst you're studying that first 3 years, you are on placements, and you are not paid during those placements. But in your 4th year, in your newly qualified nanny year, you are paid. But during placements, they're effectively student placements, and you aren't paid during that time. No.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if any of the students would know the answer to this one, or they might be. Does being bilingual help being a nanny? I don't know if any of you are bilingual or take the Spanish courses. Aurora?
I'm bilingual, and yeah, definitely. It obviously opens way more doors. If you know English, that opens you to countries that speak English. If you know another language, that opens even more doors. And often families, even if they won't use that extra language you have, it's something that they will find impressive and something that a quality that they would like when you're looking after their children.
Perfect, thank you very much, Aurora. Alex, if the EU or UK has your background as a minority and you can provide documentation in the application, are you considered a minority in Norland for the Emily Ward bursary?
In terms of the Emily Ward bursary, I think probably the honest truth is I'm not sure. So I think on that one, it would be worth emailing us at finance@norland.ac.uk, and we can get a few more details and could probably give you a much better answer. But again, I think I probably need a lot more details to come to a sort of a conclusion about that, Dan. Great,
thank you very much. Freya, from what you remember from when you first started Norland and you bought your uniform, do you remember if there was like a itemized cost list for the uniform, or how did you go about buying it?
Yes, so when you are offered your place and when your place is confirmed, so this is, if you have a conditional offer, this will always be on your results day or the week after your results day, that kind of time frame. You do get sent a list of all the different things that you may need. So all of your uniform lists will be listed, your sewing list, on there will be things like your Tupperware for your food and nutrition, things like that. Something I'd also add to that, so that's all there, Norland provided that, that's amazing. Another list that's really helpful to have is the inventory of your student home or wherever you'll be living when you come to Norland, whether that's with a family, whether that's a private arrangement, or whether that's an arrangement found through Norland, is because I bought loads of unnecessary kitchenware, and both of my houses that I've lived at Norland in Bath have been really, really well equipped, and then I just spent loads of money on a load of nothing. So like how you don't want to spend too much on buying unnecessary pieces of uniform, like 15 brown dresses, you also don't want to spend that unnecessary amount of money on kitchenware and homeware and things like that.
Perfect, thank you. Oh, Aurora.
I'd just say if you have an unconditional, the place that we buy our uniform has a sale every January. So if you get an unconditional, that's a great idea because then you can save a lot of money.
Perfect, thanks, Aurora. And Emily?
Just going off what Freya was saying about your housemates, when it comes to buying stuff for your house, I would hold off until you're put in a house and you've talked to someone who you live with. One thing that all my housemates did in first year is we all brought tea towels, and we had something like 40 tea towels. Nobody needs that many tea towels. But yeah, definitely get the kit list and wait until you've spoke to your housemates, because you'll find that you can all chip in and people can buy different things instead of buying everything for yourself and then not using any of it. So
Perfect, thank you very much. And I think we've got time for one last question. I think it'd be really nice to ask this one to all of the students to finish the session on. Starting with you, Aurora. When did you first decide that Norland was the uni for you, especially as the fees are higher than a traditional university?
So I sort of saw the documentary when I was 12 years old. I think everyone has seen that documentary, rewatched it to high heaven. And then my mum kindly took me to Bath for an open day when I was 17. And then, yeah, so on the fees part, I still applied to normal universities and then just waited until to see if I'd been given a bursary. And once I'd seen that I'd had a bursary, I decided that I'd go to Norland and I wouldn't go to a normal university.
Thanks, Aurora. Emily?
I must have been about 15. My uncle used to live in Bath and he told me about Norland, and I was always a bit torn on what to do because I always wanted to go to university, but I've got 3 learning difficulties, so didn't really think that university was the place for me, but especially because Norland was so closed and so solid and the support was there. Just seemed, it's like everyone else saw the video and knew that's where I had to be. But I did my exams. My family and community actually raised the money for my uniform and my starting fees. Because I also come from a low-income family, so it was a lot of said juggling and working as to how I was going to get there once I decided I was coming. But everyone's at Norland the same, and everyone shares that passion, so it's really nice.
Brilliant, thanks, Emily. And Freya?
So I left year 11 thinking that I wanted to be a midwife. One of my friends from a long, long time ago, I saw her on social media that she was posting that she was a nanny. Different nanny school to Norland, but the internet led me to Norland. I came to my first open day and I absolutely fell in love and I felt like I was at home. It's a very cheesy story, but I did feel like I was at home as soon as I entered the building. And then I remember Alex pitched it to my dad very, very well as an investment. And that is what sold my family. And it really is, though. It really is, because already I can already see the benefits of coming to Norland, and you know, those fees aren't lost. They are really well spent in college and they set you up to an amazing future. So it's definitely worth it.
Amazing. Thank you, Freya. Thank you, Aurora and Emily. And I will hand back to Alex just to finish up this session.
Oh, I feel quite teary. Well, thank you for that. Well, I think this is the end of it. I think we've had a good time, and I really would like to thank Freya, Emily, and Aurora. I think you've been fantastic. Thank you. I think you've added much more to this presentation than I ever could. And if I could also thank Sarah and also Dan you for sort of comparing, that was wonderful. But this is the end of the show. But just to sort of say, Please, if there are questions, please do email finance@norland.ac.uk. It's on the screen there, or phone us. We are here to help you and wishing you every success for your journey into Norland. So hopefully we'll see you soon. All the best. Bye-bye.